little zip line, right? Is that high enough? We'll just pre-tension that right here in the boat. So we're going to basically de-rig this and then set everything up like it was a brand new boat to us, just so you guys can see what we're doing. How many of you have sailed on a flying Scot? Steve Kraft just got one. Proud new owner. Every new boat is a new boat to us, right?
It was here before.
So we use the trailer winch to take up tension on the forestay until the forestay slacks, and then that pin can be removed. It's just a ring ding. It's no different than your keychain. Just pull the ring ding off and it goes right in. Maybe a little too tight yet. So the Flying Scots were designed 1957 by a guy named Sandy Douglas. Sandy was, well, he's a Hall of Fame sailboat designer. He's got three sailing classes of dinghies that are all still sailing today. The Highlander, the Thistle, and the Flying Scot was his last one. But hull number 4 is in the Annapolis Sailing Hall of Fame Museum. Is the very first boat built, and for a long time it was down in Crab Orchard Lake. It was one of the first ones sold. So,
You ready?
yep. So I'm going to stand here with the temporary forestay in my hand, and when Rachel gets the bow tied back down, then when I walk to the back of the boat doesn't tip up. If you're rigging with your truck or your van or your car still attached to the wall, you won't need to tie down the trailer to the back. But it happens. If you don't have the boat attached and you walk behind the axle and you're in the boat, now maybe not some of you, but I'm a little heavier, it goes in a hurry. It just tips up. Okay? So here's one of the reasons that this boat's really easy to rig like this. People don't if you don't know how to do this, if you haven't seen it done, they come up with all kinds of other ways to do it. This is by far the easiest way to raise and lower the mast. Turning that 90, the line on that bow pulpit has a lot of friction on it, and so Rachel holds with very little tension and can keep the mast up, right? And I'm really just standing here to guide it back until it's, until I'm about here. There's almost no load on the mast. She's holding all of it, and it's really that easy. Okay, so we'll just lay it down.
Yep.
If you're a rock climber or a pilot and you like to communicate, belay on and that's it's nothing to be afraid of. So I just make sure that the lines. And when you're traveling with a boat, you have crutches that hold the mast forward and aft. So the only difference, all we got to do is slide this thing forward, tie the boat down to the trailer, and we can run down the interstate. So now we're gonna rig it. We're gonna put the boom on. I'm gonna show you guys inside the boat how the lines work. We'll go through some practice tacks where you can operate a cleat, so you know how to use them. It's just muscle memory for a lot of us, but if you don't know how to get a line out of a cleat and someone needs you to tack, that can be something you need to know. Okay, so we're going to go right back up with the mast.
Can you tell us about where it's pivoting there?
So if I was to stand, I know because I tied the boat down, but if I was to get in the back, like the boat, you see the tongue wants to come up? Is that?
I'm at you.
Oh, here. Yeah. You guys can come in here. It's no big deal. Flying Scot has these. I've got a tension downhaul, the spinnaker line, but it's a little hinge pin. The mount screws into the coaming here, and this hinge pin just helps to stabilize the foot of the mast so that it slides into the collar. And now this This mast sleeve is really just a protection to keep the mast from mushrooming over 50 years sitting in the parking lot. But it's a protective device, especially if the boat were to capsize. It's just some added reinforcement at that juncture.
Okay.
But really, this steel collar doesn't have anything to do with it. This mast foot is what holds the mast. It's just if you guys can see it, it fits like a shoe. So the inside of the, I don't know if you guys can see, the inside of the mast here is hollow. There's some foam further up, but that void space is by that shoe, and it keeps it from sliding one way or the other. Right? But that mast pin goes in just like that, and it can sit there, and then when we pull it up, you can raise the mast without one of these. If you buy a Flying Scot that doesn't have a hinge pin, you can raise it the same way. You just have just a little bit more likelihood of the foot popping out on you. But with that hinge pin there, it's very, very easy. And I recommend anybody who doesn't have one get one, because the one time that, doing it this way almost requires a hinge pin where I can stand in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because you're not up there.
Because I'm not up there holding it steady. There's some videos online of Sandy Douglas doing this, and he just picks the spar up like it's nothing. It weighs 35 pounds. This spar, aluminum mast. Most, I'm sorry, that's a good point. My sailing vocabulary to, spars are any stick that's solid on a boat. So a spinnaker pole is a spar, the boom is a spar, the mast is a spar. But that's a really good question. So if you don't have a hinge pin, Flying Scot Inc. makes them. It's 2 screws, simple to install, and it's a little bit extra insurance policy. So it's a great question. And that's what we're here for. You guys have questions, shout them out. I want to hear them. So when we raise the mast, we just make sure the side stays. These cables that are on the side, they stay more inside the boat because you go so far, and they can hook under the corners. And Rachel's just going to take up tension. And from here, like this is very stable. I can just lift up, Rachel's pulling in. And I just walk it forward. Once you get to that point, I've got, I don't know if you guys can see, I've got these little micro cleats right here. Any kind of cleat. I can put that line in the cleat and stand on it. Just tightens that up just that much more. She doesn't have to crank down with the. And then in an emergency, if your forestay breaks, your jib, if it's on, is another stay. So you've got a redundant system in the front for holding the mast up. The side stays don't, but you can always use a spinnaker halyard as another stay. If one of these were to snap, you tack, you tie this down, cleat it off, you've got a backup stay. All right?